What's up, Madridistas? You know what's not great? Real Madrid being bad for the third consecutive La Liga game and dropping to second in the table. Not ideal. Not good. You know what is good? Black Friday. We never do this, but for the first time, we're actually running a discount on Managing Madrid memberships. Head on over to patreon.com/Managing Madrid and use code Black Friday, all one word, to get a 50. That's right, I said 50% discount if you wanted to get all the bonus content, including the upcoming Manchester City post-game show. Now is the time to sign up. Patreon.com/Managing Madrid. Use code Black Friday. That's one word, Black Friday.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Very better man needs to rest. And the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello and welcome to tonight's therapy session. Welcome, Madridistas and everyone else here to see the tears. Kiyan Sobhani. If you guys have super chats, drop them in right now. I'll do a super chat segment at the end of this episode. But in the meantime, we're going to break down Real Madrid's 1-1 draw against Girona. Another pretty flat performance. Another performance where we have a lot of things that are just not quite right. And I said it after the Olympiacos win, where that was such a weird one because on one hand, we saw 15, 20 minutes where it was just great football, very entertaining to watch, Vinny and Mbappe. And outside of that, horrendous defending, 18 shots conceded, lack of tracking runners into the box, the press, quote unquote, press falling apart. Mendy Libar saying after the game that Vinny and Mbappe can't be stopped, but they also don't defend. Real Madrid defend with 8 people. So we had that basically first line of defense bypass. And even that window of Vinny Mbappe lighting up Olympiacos, there was a very, very clear and obvious context, which was Olympiacos play a high line. They give you space that almost no other team would give, or at least no other smart team would give. Stupid teams would give Vinny and Mbappe all the space in the world. We would love that. But most teams aren't stupid, unfortunately for us. They know that if you just take away the space and you sit a little bit deeper in a mid to low block and you press Real Madrid, you can actually have a pretty good amount of success. And Girona, like as they should, they pressed in the first half, and when they had to sit deeper in the mid to low block, they shifted from a 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2. They defended pretty well, and now we're here. We're here again. This team is not as good as it needs to be. So let's break down why and what's going on. And I think most of the recurring issues just were appearing today as well. What's interesting is that out of the 3 La Liga the 3 games that we went winless, Elche, Rayo, and this one was somewhat different in the sense that we actually did press. I wouldn't say we pressed very well, but there were times where we did. And we tried to put out fires in transition, and we pressed high on goal kicks. If you look at the positioning of Militao, for example, what would happen every time Girona had a goal kick, Militao would actually shift into like a DMCM position and try to win the ball high up the pitch. He had this like 4 times in the first half where if you look at Girona's goal kicks, Trent and Rudiger form a 2 center back partnership at the halfway line, and everyone else pushes high up the field, including Militao, who shifts really high. So we did cause Girona some problems, and we did press a little bit higher than we did in the last few games, which in my thing was like, why not go back to the press? Why did you abandon it? Why are the pressing numbers dropping off a cliff? Why did we basically try to get better at pressing every game up until that Classico where it all came together and then it just vanished? Like, what happened there? Why? Like, can someone explain that to me? I floated this idea around to Lucas as a half joke, this conspiracy theory that like, what if someone stole Xabi Alonso like after the Club World Cup, or even like halfway through this um first half of the season, and just stole him, and it's not him, it's like an alien replacement, and because nothing is the same. Everything that was encouraging early on is just completely gone. Like, what is going on there? Is it just a matter of like after a certain amount of time, the players are like, all right, Chabi, we're good. This is too much running, too much pressing. Let's just go back to Carlo ball. I cannot actually scientifically explain it. It doesn't really make any sense to me what's going on. Meritocracy or randomness, we never know what the starting lineup's going to be. And I don't mean that in a good, like, unpredictable way where the opponent's like, oh man, we have no idea what we're facing tonight. It's like, is Ferland Mendy going to start his first game right off the bat after like 8 months? Is Jude Bellingham going to be rushed back? Um, are we going to see a random Fran Garcia cameo? Are we going to see a random Rodrigo cameo? Is Vinicius going to be benched? Camavinga, after a really good performance in Olympiacos, is he going to be on the bench today? Why, if so? All these things, like, we just don't really know how the team is going to settle. And I think, to me, is part of the explanation as to why the team is inconsistent. And because they don't get any rhythm, there's no flow, there's no cohesion. The cohesion has disappeared because when we started the season, kind of just knowing the 4-3-3, and we had Vinny and Mbappe and Mastantuono, and we had Arda, and Jude was injured at the time, obviously, so it was Tchouameni, Fede. There was an identity forming there. And then you had the Mastantuono injury, you had Jude returning, and that and a combination of a few other things that just didn't really add up. Now, like, I'm looking at this team and I'm just like, how does this make sense? If you look at Xabi's subs, let's go through it. Was it 4 altogether? He brought on Camavinga, Rodrigo, Gonzalo, Alvaro Carreras. Correct. So Camavinga comes in at halftime for Arda Güler, largely plays in a similar role. In, like, if you look at their heat maps, they're nearly identical. Camavinga spent a little bit more time deeper on the left. Fede played a bunch of minutes as the left center midfielder in the second half. Rodrigo for Tchouameni didn't make any sense to me at all. Let's go through Rodrigo for Tchouameni, okay? At that point, 72nd minute, one of the things that was starting to work, as in it was actually like creating some kind of offensive chaos that Girona was struggling to defend. We started to pack the box. We had 5 players in the box, and we had Trent on the right wing putting in some really good passes into the box. We were starting to create some momentum with this. Ball goes out wide to Trent, and then you had Jude crashing, Militao crashing, Tchouameni crashing, plus Vinny and Mbappe in those zones, right? Ready to pounce. And Girona were trying to clear it. They were getting counterpressed. They were clearing it for corners. So it was just a nice wave coming. What happened with the Rodrigo sub, and why did that make any sense? This goes back to, like, how disappointed we've been with Xabi Alonso's in-game management. Here are all the things that the Rodrigo for Tchouameni sub did. 1, it gave us another winger. Like, we needed more wingers on the field. Like, we needed more people putting those passes into the box and not more finishers. So we got another winger. Great. It took out an aerial threat, Tchouameni. That game state, by the way, where we were putting those balls into the box and Tchouameni was trying to get on the end of it, one of the things was that you needed players in transition to defend, because the risk is, like, when you start to push players in the box and you start to chase a goal, you're going to be vulnerable in transition. So you took off Tchouameni. Not only was he an aerial threat, but he was also one of those players who can defend in transition. The sub also, this is the 4th point, it pushed Trent out of the right wing and put him in a narrow right center back role. So you no longer had Trent on the right wing putting balls into the box. So that momentum you had with Trent on the right putting balls into the box to Tchouameni and Jude and Militao and Rudiger just vanished, and it just died. Gonzalo Garcia looked like he was coming in around, I don't know, minute 65 or something. He had his shin guards on. His training gear was off. He looks like he was ready to come in. Now, I don't know, because Mario Cortejena, who was at the game, he had noted that Carreras was about to come on too. But then the Mbappe penalty, when that penalty went in, they changed it and they recalled Carreras to the bench. I wonder if Gonzalo Garcia's situation was maybe similar, where he was going to come in and then Xabi was like, okay, no, it's 1-1. I think we got this. I think we're going to turn it around. 90th minute. 90th minute. Gonzalo Garcia comes in for what? 4 minutes of injury time. And who did he come in for? For Trent, the guy who was most likely to set him up. Please, somebody. I'm so confused. I don't understand. I don't understand what is going on. Please tell me. I would be so relieved. I would be so happy. Like, all my stress would go away if someone just told me, hey, Kiyan, I know this is weird, but Xabi actually was abducted by aliens. This guy is not Xabi Alonso. That would be the only explanation to me that would make sense. Because that can't be Xabi Alonso on the field. That's not Xabi Alonso in the dugout. How could it be Xabi Alonso? These subs are not making any sense. The in-game adjustments are not making any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what happened to this team after the Clásico. I don't understand. I'm gonna pop a blood vessel. I don't understand. I really don't understand what's going on. So I don't even, like, beyond that, how can I even just sit here and dissect what happened in this game? I can talk about that we tried to press today. I can talk about, our pressing shape on Girona goal kicks. Look at the goal that Girona scored. Unahi, God bless him, played a very good game. Gotta respect it. Go look at his goal. I can't watch it with you here on YouTube. I'll get copyright strike. Go back and watch it. It's actually on my Twitter, @Kiyan So. Unahi, this is a live replay of Unahi if you're on YouTube right now. I'm Unahi. For like 10 seconds, he's just walking around and he's like, oh, I'm in the box now, and no Real Madrid midfielders give a fuck that I'm here. I'm going to score now. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Look at Fede jogging. Look at Arda jogging. Look at Tchouaméni. He was he just took the wrong man and didn't recognize the run he needed to make. And then who looks bad in that situation? Militao and Rudiger, when it's not their fault. This team won't stop leaking goals until they take this shit seriously. It doesn't, like, the fans can't care more than they do. How can me, a nobody, sitting here like a loser on YouTube, how can I care more than them? I'm not even 1/1,000,000th as good as Fede and Arda. But I promise you, if you put me on that field, I will sprint. I will at least pretend that I care. Listen, man, sometimes you get the more calm journalist version of me. Sometimes you just literally get me as a fan. Like, this is how I talk to my dad when I'm watching the games with my dad. You're getting the Kiyan with his dad version today, okay? It's frustrating to watch, and I don't get it. I really don't understand it. And it's not like the defending got much better. I mean, Courtois had a couple big saves in the second half. And at that point, the game state was more open because Real just started to chase it even more. And there just has to be, and like the thing is, like, the thing I was criticizing Xabi for was, like, I'm not even criticism, or just like I was calling for him to make the big decisions. Like, if you need to bench a star, bench the star. If you feel like Vinny and Mbappe can't coexist, or if you feel Fede and Jude and Arda can't coexist, if someone has to hit the bench for the better of the team, you got to make. But these calls are not even big calls. Rodrigo for Tchouaméni, that's not a big call. Like, that made no sense. Gonzalo Garcia, 90th minute. I mean, maybe that's a big call because he feels like you have to take Mbappe or Vinny off. These are not really big calls in the end, ultimately. Live and die by it, man. It's just, I don't understand the Gonzalo Garcia thing. Even in the limited minutes, that last second Rodrigo or Mbappe chance, like in the 94th minute, which I was like actually shocked that it didn't go in. I thought it was a big chance. Actually, Gonzalo Garcia, good hold up sequence in the box in his like 30-second cameo. He did good to hold it up. That game against was it Elche, where he came in for like 20, 30 minutes, didn't score, nearly did, but created space, had gravity. And it's like Club World Cup, 6 games, best player of the team. Once again, Occam's razor, most simple path to goal. You have one of the greatest crossers of our generation in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Who is he putting the ball into the box for? Who is he passing to? There's no one for him to pass to. Yeah. But you know what always makes me feel better? Like without fail. I know Real Madrid are in a rough patch right now. Maybe it'll get better. I hope it gets better. Because I'm not going to physically last the whole season if we continue like this. But what always does make me feel better is moji-mates.com. Guys, if you head on over to moji-mates.com, not only do they have bundles, you got, like, look at this bundle. Benzema, Cristiano, and Luka Modric. You save money there. You got BBC, you got hoodies, you got Tony Cruz, everything. Guys, go to moji-mates.com. And they also have a Black Friday sale. If you use code Black Friday, that's one word. It's on the screen right there, moji-mates.com. Code Black Friday, you get 30% off. When was the last time you saw a clothing company dropping new hits like bangers, give you 30% off something? Like, this is a very, very rare thing. So go to moji-mates.com. Use code Black Friday. That's one word. All right, we're going to do a super chat round in a second here. So I'm going to take super chats. I also want to see what Xabi is saying after the game. Maybe look at some data together as well. So if you have a super chat, drop them in right now. And in the meantime, let's see what Xabi is saying. All right, Xabi Alonso quotes. Xabi Alonso says, a season has different phases. At the beginning, we were consistent away from home. These last few matches have been different. The second half was much better than the first. We were able to come back. The team was eager to overcome the 1-0 deficit. We had 3 or 4 clear chances to score a second and win. We have to maintain the high standards that come with playing for Real Madrid, and this is a long season. I have no complaints about the players because they've reacted well. We need to maintain this unity with sufficient and necessary self-criticism and with a desire to win away from home. We have so many matches on this schedule. This Wednesday, we have the opportunity to do it in Bilbao. Thanks for the reminder. That doesn't make me feel better going to San Mamés, but maybe I'll be proven wrong. We lack the time to be more dominant. That's what we want. Okay, so more time. We need to analyze why we didn't achieve it. Why couldn't we do it from the start? There's a lot of back and forth in the standings. It's a good time to win in Bilbao. We need it. We want it. Yeah, not much there for me to comment on, really. Just other than that, I'm just reminded that the games that Real Madrid have struggled the most this season, which is away games against teams with intensity. And I wouldn't even classify Girona as that necessarily. Like, Girona have been really bad this season. They're also missing a ton of players heading into this game. Like, a lot of their best players are injured. And it's pretty inexcusable. But the fact that we struggle in away games against high-intensity teams, and our next game is Athletic Bilbao, and Barcelona's next home game is against Atletico Madrid, who his entire club's mission, the reason why God created Atletico Madrid was to give Barcelona gifts. It's not going to be an encouraging midweek for me. I'm just going to say that, and I would love to be proven wrong. I'm just going based on how I feel and what I see. Yeah. Super chats. Alberto Bitar says Xabi subs were brutal. Gonzalo Garcia and AC needed Alvaro Carreras needed in the 60th, not 89. For what it's worth, I mean, obviously I agree with you, especially on GG. I thought Fran was fine today. I mean, Fran is a fighter. He works hard. He was making overloads. He was putting good balls into the box. As always, Vinny just pretends he doesn't exist, but at least Fran Garcia himself was making the right plays. I don't have any issue with him necessarily. I don't think if you put Carreras for Fran Garcia would have made a huge difference in this game, to be honest with you. Vinny's performance, I thought, was largely good. Um, he won the penalty. He actually came close to scoring the winner with a good effort where he cuts in and he goes just wide. Um, yeah, so I don't know if Carreras would have moved the needle too much in this game, but GG, I 100% I agree with. Bill Sanders, 5489, says, I really want Xabi to succeed, but I'm losing hope at this point. It feels like we're in a death spiral. Odds he makes it to Christmas. I think he lasts the season. I think he does. After that, you reassess, you reevaluate, Bill. But certainly this season is not, if let's say even if Real Madrid were blowing teams out of the water right now and we're killing teams and it was highly encouraging, even in that situation, you still don't know what that means for the remainder of the season. The team could just collapse and be horrible after that. On the flip side, you could be really bad the first half of the season and turn around in the second. So right now, you don't make that call. You make that call after the season is over. Alberto also says, how many more games does Xabi get like this? This is the naive part of me, but I think once we get back home, it'll be a nice change of scenery, and I think we'll start to see more of the Xabi ball stuff that we saw earlier this season. But it's not. This is not. It's not a flex to say that. It's not. It's actually more of a criticism because, like, why are you so bad away from home? Look at the away record this season. It's pretty brutal. Thank you for the donation, SR7. Appreciate that. Zeppelin says we've seen a whole season of Jude, Chouameni, Fede, and the sample size is huge. It simply doesn't work as a trio. The issues we saw last year are happening again. I've slowly become black-pilled of this team. So this season, the issue is Chu, Jude, Arda, Fede. Last season, it was Chu, Fede, Jude. Last season's issues are hard to dissect and pinpoint one single thing as if like it was the midfield pairing, because last season there were a million things wrong, right? You had the ACL injuries, you had the fact that our wing backs were Vasquez and Fran Garcia the whole year. Arda Güler, for example, who would have helped with the ball progression, never saw the light of day. You had Mbappe out of form early and then Vinny out of form after that. You had a team that didn't press but held a high line. You had Jude's shoulder thing, like he wasn't 100%. He was playing through shoulder pain with the strap and everything. And now, of course, the most obvious one where Toni Kroos retired. This season, Kroos didn't come back, but Arda came into the team as the guy who can maybe grow into the Kroos role. And I think a big part of this right now, this season, is that, last season, Fede Valverde was one of our best players. This season, he's not playing well, apart from his shifts at right back when Trent and Carvajal were injured. And my explanation of what happened to Fede this season is when he goes to midfield in the Xabi Alonso era, it's in the context that the whole team goes through Bellingham and Arda. And Fede doesn't deal well with having that backseat role, you know? I was talking to Arantxa Rodriguez the other day. Obviously she was the one who reported that Fede was not happy. And I said, why Fede? She said, he's not happy with his role. And on one hand, I was like, well, how can he not be happy? He's playing. I understand he doesn't like playing right back, but Xabi had no choice when both Trent and Carvajal were injured. But then it clicked. I was like, I think his midfield role under Xabi Alonso takes a backseat and he's not involved. And he wants to be more involved. He wants to get into attacking zones. And that's why I said part of the solution is to put him on the right wing, like we saw before the World Cup, and the role he played against Pachuca, which he never appeared in again, which goes back to like, did somebody steal Xabi Alonso? But he's also, it's not even just a role thing. Like you look at his body language, he's not tracking the way he used to. He's not as reliable in that situation as he used to. So that's a long-winded way of saying that Fede himself is not on the level as he was last season. And you still haven't found Tony Cruz, and you never will. So how are you going to get it wrong? If Arda's going to develop into Tony Cruz, and as much as I love Arda so much. Nobody loves Arda like I do, except for the Turks themselves. But certainly outside of Turkey, nobody loves Arda as much as I do. But I mean, he doesn't have the cruise control that Cruz had himself and invented himself, because nobody can. But I mean, like, there's a certain like element of composure and stability that Cruz had from anywhere he was on the field, whether it was deep in his own box or being pressed in midfield or wherever else. Like, we just don't. Arda hasn't developed into that yet. He has flashes of brilliance, and he makes really good final ball passes, but he's not that guy yet. And so what are you going to do? And if you go back to like, when was the last time Real Madrid truly ticked? It was obviously the 2023-2024 season. What was the context of that? Well, Jude basically did everything, but he also scored a ton of goals because that's what we needed from him when Benzema left. And so I'm kind of torn on this in the sense that the idea of like, can Arda and Jude coexist is a no-brainer to me, because the conversation of can X player plus Jude coexist is the answer is always yes. The reason why it's always yes is because Jude is the most versatile midfielder in the world, probably. He can play any position in midfield and attack, which means that you should be able to put him anywhere. On the other hand, it's unfair to Jude to do that, because are you getting the best out of Jude? And to me, this is the way I look at it. Bellingham is the best player in the world in his position. So that should be catered around. So if the question is like, who needs to be in their best position, Jude comes number one on this list. And as much as I think that he can play deeper, and I know he can succeed as an 8 because we've seen it, I also think that the team really needs him in the box, like more than ever. And so I think that Xabi has to really think about how that works. Lucas keeps making this point on Twitter. I half agree with him, but he says like, you can't, Jude, Vinny, and Mbappe all can't play together with the tendencies they all have. And if you want Jude to crash the box more, where are you going to put him? Because that means Vinny and Mbappe are on the field as well. So, but it's not really a Vinny. It's not this. I'll go back to this. This is basically Real Madrid's problem is this. It's not anyone's fault. It's not Vinny's fault. It's not Mbappe's fault. It's not Bellingham's fault. It's not Goulet's fault. It's not any of these guys' fault. The fault is of the situation as a whole. We have puzzle pieces that just don't really fit, which means you have to bench someone. Probably. It's a tough call to make. Our Club World Cup success, Mbappe wasn't there. And then our early on success this season, Bellingham wasn't there. It's a tough one because you have a lot of great players and the puzzle pieces just aren't fitting. It's like, they're just not quite fitting together. But it's not just that either. It's also the fact that the team is just doing stupid things defending in transition, like that don't make any sense. Like, it's not just Xabi's fault. It's not just this person's fault. A lot of people are just making bad decisions from a coaching level to a player level individually. And it just needs to dramatically improve. But this is why I didn't really read too much stock into the Olympiacos win for reasons I've already stated. Uh, SR7 says even if Vinny is benched at 90, he will cry. Well, this is true. I think Xabi tried, and the noise that came with it was too much. So I don't think he can anymore. And again, this is the problem that he faces. Like, I'm willing to bet you if Xabi Alonso was Liverpool's manager, they would be successful right now. But he's not dealing with Liverpool or Bayer Leverkusen. He's dealing with a completely different beast. And unless you tear the whole team down and allow Xabi to sign whatever he wants from scratch, that's like this problem is not going to go away. Neither will it for a future manager, by the way. Pablo Carpio says, when do you sack Alonso if results remain the same? If results remain the same, he's gone by Christmas. I'd said earlier that he's not going to be gone before the end of the season. But that also is under the assumption that these results won't stay the same. So if you're telling me 3 league games in a row without a win, but we also don't win against Celta and Athletic, who else is it? So, okay, so we didn't win against Elche, we didn't win against Rayo, we didn't win against Girona. And you're telling me results remain the same, which means we don't win against Athletic, Celta, Man City, Alaves, Sevilla, all before Christmas. He's gone by then. But I'm assuming that the results are not going to stay the same. So that's why I said he's not going to. I don't think he goes before the end of the season. If he goes, again, I just want to be clear that I also can be a very reactionary person. That it's very possible that Real Madrid turns it around and they get better. So I have to keep that in mind. I'm just going based on what I've seen in the last few games. Having said that, and I'll just bring this up so we can look at this together. Excuse me, man. Despite all the criticisms I have in this team and this performance today and the performances of the last few games, I also think that we should have put this game to bed even with this performance. If you don't believe me, I mean, look at the stats. I mean, look at the chances we missed, right? Hold on. So these are this is Militao's headed chance in the 38th minute. And we had a pretty high volume of chances in the box. Like, as you can see, though, they're not really clear-cut chances. They're just like a bunch of kind of half chances. The clear-cut one was the Militao, and this was the Mbappe cross from the left side, which is a really beautiful cross. And Gazaniga made a really great save. On the flip side, Van Aert nearly made it 2-0 on the other end. And this was in one of their transition attacking sequences in the second half, 56th minute. Was I showing you guys the wrong screen the whole time? Hold on, my apologies. This is the screen I wanted. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So you guys see the XG is 2.21 for Real Madrid, 1.05 for Girona. This was the Militao chance I was talking about. This is the Van Aert chance I was talking about. Hold on a sec. Okay, Mark Stats bot, the greatest bot on the internet. Yeah, you can kind of see it here again. I mean, despite how critical I've been about this performance, even with this performance, they should have put this game to bed. We missed some good chances. And I'm curious to see the pressing numbers. Do we have those? Passes per defensive action. Yeah, 7.5. This 7.5 is actually even less than what the numbers we were putting up earlier this season. So you can see like our press was actually back in this game. So this is another weird game. I think all of the last few games have been weird. The difference between this one and the previous ones where we've dropped points in La Liga was that we actually tried to press this game, where we didn't in the last few games. All right. Awesome. I'm out. 35 minutes. We got a busy week coming up. Lucas will be back for members. Madrid mornings will be released for members. We also have Athletic coming up, and then I'm off to Madrid to cover the Celta and Manchester City games. As always, guys, we never do this. People have actually been asking for Black Friday sales. It's like, okay, well, we never do discounts, but why not? So a very rare moment, we're actually putting memberships 50% off temporarily. Patreon.com/Managing Madrid. It's not available for YouTube memberships because YouTube doesn't allow discounts. But if you want to sign up on Patreon.com/Managing Madrid, use code Black Friday. That's one word, Black Friday, and you get a 50% discount. Again, we never do this, so take advantage of it if you've been on the fence. I got to run, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the therapy session, and hope for better days ahead. Peace out, and as always, Hala Madrid.